everybody, good morning, and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips Friday edition, Casual Friday. Yay, let's all get casual. Oh wait, we all work from home, we're casual already. Oh well, but maybe that'll end sometime soon, you know. Well, I'm going to be working from home, but the rest of you, you know. Maybe some of you don't miss the office. Like, those of you who started working at home, do you miss the office? Because David totally does. Like, because he's mostly because of ergonomics, because at work he has like access to standing desks and much more ergonomic setups. And so he feels like he's really breaking himself being work from home. So he really wants to go back. But I don't know. Do you guys who are like working from home, do you want to go back to work? And good morning. Yes, of course. Ha ha ha. Chibi. Hey, I appreciate a good ABBA reference. Or ABBA. However they pronounce it. I was never sure. My dad always said ABBA, so, you know. And he loves them, by the way. Like, my dad was made fun of by the neighbors for his hokey taste in music. But I grew up on it, and I turned out okay. You don't miss your loud coworkers? Husband loves it. You don't work from home, so you've had to go in. That's a bummer, Chibi. Maybe 2 to 3 times a week. See, that's what I kind of hear, Crowley, is that maybe work from home, you know, like, just a couple days a week, or going in a couple days a week, you know, a nice balance of that. Yep. Oh, hey, HM Road Dog. Thanks for that sub. You always had to go into work, Roger? Yeah. Shadow Raven. I mean, I always loved them. I mean, I used to listen to it on road trips because it was upbeat music. It was cool. I liked a lot of their songs. My dad used to have, okay, this is when before like the modern revolution, when everybody else was buying like VHS tapes, my dad had a Laserdisc player. And we had ABBA's Greatest Hits on Laserdiscs with all the videos. I grew up watching that as a kid. I think I've got a little bit of allergies going on. I got a little bit of eyeballs going wet. Won't be going back to the office? Oh, job one no longer has a physical office. Well, there you go. That's kind of cool, Duo. I hear there's a lot of that going around. Like, there are several companies that realize that they could save a lot of money by, like, killing some of their physical locations. Yeah, ABBA's definitely my guilty pleasure, Chibi. That's definitely one of the things that I put on. That and Gordon Lightfoot. I am a huge Gordon Lightfoot fan. And that's also my dad's fault. And my other guilty pleasure is from the 80s, Bruce Hornsby. I love Bruce Hornsby. The piano. Oh my God. I love Bruce Hornsby. So what are your other... Yeah, I don't think Queen counts as a guilty pleasure at this point, guys. They're kind of awesome. You know, everybody pretty much goes, oh yeah, well, yeah, awesome. Yeah, I agree, Shadow Raven. One of Canada's best exports for sure. Sadly, my enjoyment of Queen was somewhat compromised in college because for exams, I had a roommate who would play one thing over and over and over and over and over and over again when she was studying. Like, and I wondered what she did when she got to exams because she couldn't listen to it. But she ruined, for me, she ruined Queen's Greatest Hits and Last of the Mohican soundtrack because she was like just addicted to that. And I think the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves soundtrack too. There were like 3 things and like she would just fixate on one and play it over and over on loop when she was studying. I was just ready to punch her. I had like 3 roommates, or I should say like kind of suite mates, because it was like 2 bedrooms. So it was 4 girls sharing a 2-bedroom suite. And oh my God, like seriously. So I've recovered somewhat. I can listen to Queen now without like cringing, but it took decades. Yeah. Hey, Absalom. It's good to see you. New Order Sisters of Mercy. Yeah. Yeah, I really love Sisters of Mercy. I still do. I still listen to it if I need, like, a good driving workout music, because it's great for that. Break out into random Queen songs. Yeah. That's alright. Like I said, Queen is in. Like, Queen is, Queen is that band, one of those bands that doesn't go away. Yeah, Rush is another one, right? Just a classic band that... Oh, that's cool, Absalon. We did some cool painting. We painted pink and we did textures. I did some really high-end stuff on stream like yesterday. 80s glam metal. Oh, Declarement. Def Leppard. Def Leppard, another one of my guilty pleasures. I love Def Leppard. That's another one that I like I cleaned to or I work out to just because the driving beats are so good. And Rush. Yep. Also one of Canada's best exports. Yes, that's true. I came late to my Rush, liking, but nonetheless, I agree. There are Rush songs that go on my permanent playlists. So, because of your husband, what was his fave? I technically, Def Leppard doesn't count as like metal per se. They were more hard rock, but still. I was not into like Rat and Whitesnake and all that. I was just kind of rolling my eyeballs a bit. I was into alternative 80s, so I was a huge fan of The Cure and New Order and The Smiths and Morrissey and Erasure and oh boy, the list goes on and on and on. Pretty much if it was on 120 minutes, I was into it. Kate Bush. It's Friday. We're in paint. Guns N' Roses. Ah, the Cocteau Twins. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, Kate Bush was awesome. All right, I'm going to mix up some green stuff because today we're going to give her a base. So I'm going to grab a bunch of yellow and a pinch of blue and get to it. Big glob of green, which we may or may not use all of. No, most of the rest of the music I listen to is like, I don't really care what people think of me, so... Plus, I can always, like, find somebody out there in my community who's like, ooh, that band! And I'm like, yay! So, about a 2-to-1, I think. I want to do some, I'm not really doing thinner stuff off the top, but I will be doing, like, kind of a carpet. I don't know, I probably could do a little bit more blue than this. But I also want to be able to work it throughout the stream. So we'll see. Yeah, I haven't heard the hybrid cover. Oh, I love U2 too. Yeah. Still listen to a lot of U2. Mixing up my green stuff, rolling it over and over like a little taco. Like you used to have to like soften like silly putty or stuff to make it work. Rigness 2-to-1 is if you're going to be filling gaps with it and you need it to go spread really thin and blend into surfaces, you go 2-to-1. I said I could go slightly more blue because I'm not really looking to spread it really thin here except when I do the carpet. But I may not be able to just do the carpet all in one go. We're going to have to see how I can do this. Because I need to first create a platform coming down from her stand because she has an integral base. Essentially, when you add more blue, you get a stiffer mix. It's much harder to make it blend into a surface. If you need it to go really thin, like you're filling a gap and blending it in, you must go with more yellow. Don't go too yellow, or it just won't set right. 2-to-1 is about the biggest ratio I've ever heard, and Bob and Julie told me that one. It helped me exponentially in blending green stuff in to know that I was supposed to go 2-to-1 if I wanted to do that. I never, ever could do it before, and I was also frustrated in saying, what is this green stuff crap? And then Bob and Julie said, oh, if you want it to really, work with it better that way, you should make it 2-to-1 yellow to blue. It also allows you to work it a little longer. With blue, it will set up harder, set up slightly faster. So that is why we're going with this yellowy green. And like I said, we could do a 50-50. It does mean that I use my yellow faster than I use my blue, and I usually have blue left over, but green stuff isn't that expensive. I may need to actually make... Yeah, if you're trying to do that. So let's see how much green I actually need. I'm going to split this in half. I always keep my plastic bag, plastic thing around so I can stick the existing green stuff to it. It sticks pretty well, but it comes off just fine. So remember never to like eat and drink when you're working with green. It is not good for putting in your mouth. And don't lick your sculpting tools for that same reason. All right, then we got to get a clay shaper out or two. I have the perfect clay shaper. Do I have my round? Where'd my round go? Sometimes things move around in my desk. And then I'm like, grrr. Where's my circular clay shaper? Oh, there it is. All right, so the clay shapers we are using today are our angly one. Angly, see, chisel shaped. And our round. So this is technically the angle, chisel, and the taper point, We're using extra firm. I only ever use extra firm clay shapers. And they're size 0. So if you're looking to order them, there are a whole bunch of different ones online, white and gray and black. They are each a different firmness. Some people say that they like the other firmnesses. I personally just find them hard to work with. So I always go with the extra firm. I don't think we're doing Tiny Spoon today. I should do a cure week. Chibi, that's funny. Hey, Vetman DM. Thank you for the Prime sub. Welcome. We're doing sculpting today. Well, we're doing basing. Normally we paint. But my dancing girl is all done. So essentially we need to create a little base for her now. Because she has this small integral base, but I want to put her on this black base. I'm going to get in focus, guys. Hold on. Focus. Focus. Dancing girl, focus. Yeah, there we go. Much better. But yeah, this is not something I would do Tiny Spoon with. Because it's mostly texture, I will use Giant Spoon. I may use Tiny Spoon just to trim the edge. If I get close. But I also have little chisel here. And little chisel is just fine for kind of pushing green stuff back from that edge. Tiny Spoon is good for a great many things, almost everything in actual sculpting. But in base filling like this, where I'm going for a sandy texture and larger flat surfaces, it's not as utilitarian. Tiny Spoon cannot do it all. Sometimes Tiny Spoon just wants to kick up its feet with a tropical drink on a beach somewhere and let the other sculpting tools have some fun. Wouldn't we all like to be kicking up our heels on a tropical beach somewhere? Like, seriously, I have a reservation for Hawaii at the end of September, and I sure hope that the country is back to normal enough that I can take advantage of it. Because, dang it. So I'm just using my big spoon with a little bit of water on it. You can see the drop of water kind of still clinging to the top. And I can actually use that by pushing it down onto here. And I'm using it and just spreading it out. This big flat spoon is very useful for this because you want to get a kind of a blended in, more or less flat surface so I can texture it. This part is very easy. And it's a nice practice for how much water to add to your tools to figure out, like, how you can work with the green with a metal tool. I am going to steal probably, let's see. We'll see if I've got a little extra here, then I'm going to snip it off with the edge of my spoon. Yeah, I think I do. I have it just a little bit extra. I want to make a thin snake to fill in back here, which I can use my extra green for, but if I've got excess here, I want to make it all blend in nicely. So I need more water. Just a little bit, a skin of water on the tool is enough to make it not stick. I don't use things like Vaseline and other stuff that other people use to lubricate their tools because I don't want to have to wash the model before I paint over the green. So you can, and it does help. Like if you're trying to really smooth something in, sometimes a little bit of something like Vaseline can really help. Because of course it makes your tool not stick to the green at all. But it does mean you must wash it. You have an allergic reaction to ocean water. You can still enjoy the beach, though. Like, it's also the sound and the sight of the water. Unless you have such a reaction to water that you just don't enjoy it trouble. In which case, I'm very sorry. I just enjoy being on the beach. Yes, isolated cabin in the mountains works, too. Yeah, the sun burns me too, but I love water. Yeah, Rignis, that one I'm going to deny. Sorry. Family-friendly show. We're keeping it family-friendly. Yes, I know this is the same company that Ed owns, okay? But I can say that my show is family-friendly, and we will not go there. I know, I'm no fun. No fun at all. There are all sorts of minerals in seawater that you could react to, technically, if you have sensitive skin. And I do, but I seem to be okay with it. So yeah, I feel for your trouble. I'm sorry. That said, Hawaii is like one of my favorite places, so I cannot wait to go back. And I hope that by then, like, restaurants will be open and stuff. Although I'm kind of sad. We're going to the Big Island instead of Honolulu, and I love Honolulu, but that's okay. David and I will just go to Honolulu another time. We might just do a day jaunt, maybe, because there are things I want to see that I didn't get to last vacation. Long time ago. All right, so now I'm using my rolly tool. And what the rolly tool does is it smooths out this area. If I put just a little pressure on it and put some water down and I roll the happy little round pointed tool, tapered point, over this surface, I can get it really smooth. I use this for smoothing big areas too, like when I was doing the big 54mm horse that had a lot of putty work on the belly. I learned that technique. It worked really much better than I thought it would to reduce tool marks across a large, broad area. And you can just like roll your putty gently down the stream or something. Gently on the stream. Ooh. All right. Smooth that in, smooth that in. Smooth that in. I could skin over the entire base, and I may yet do it. If I find that my texture doesn't look very good next to the integral sand texture she's got on her base, which is very minimal, but it's there, then I might. And I'm just rolling this and rolling it and rolling it and pushing it more and more toward her feet. And then I'll use the tip of the other tool to kind of texture once we get all this stuff down. We're almost there. We just need a tiny bit more. Volcanoes National Park. Okay, well, I'm sure I'll love it. I haven't been there since I was a kid, Chibi. And we didn't go to any of that cool stuff. If we would have gone to an observatory, I probably would have been, like, much happier. We did go whale watching, and I did enjoy that, and I do want to do it again. So, we'll see. Although we won't be there in great whale time, so it might not be a good whale time. But yeah, we do, David does want to see volcanoes. Like, how close we get to said volcanoes will be determined by how angry they are when we are there. I'm a little trepidatious about meeting volcanoes face to face, but, you know, I could do it. Hope it doesn't turn into a horror movie, you know. But yeah, I'm all about the observatory. I like stargazing. Ah, okay, so we've got a little bit of creep here over our base. So that is where having a nice little chisel tool is nice. Remember, we have to add water to it, though. Even if there's a little bit of water still in the putty, like there is, I like to make sure. And try to scrape very gently, because you don't want to gouge your black base. If you're like me and you're not painting over it, you just like the finish of the smooth plastic. Just kind of use the tip of your tool and herd your putty back into form like a border collie. Herding sheep. All right. That's pretty good. Let's smooth it out. Whenever I've got an edge, I can smooth my putty together by using my rolly tool again. Roll, roll, roll until the demarcation disappears. More or less. Chances are when I add the texture, it's going to come over that too. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We have a little bit of an edge there, but it's so close to the end of the base that I don't think I can really do much about this this steep curve, unless I put a hard edge on it, which I don't really want to do. If I had thought about this, I maybe would have done a little bit carved away some of the base or given myself more of a slope. Yeah, I haven't, Murkerniko. I don't need to get paranoid about both volcanoes if I'm going to go and say hello to them. I don't know if Big Island is the best. I really love Oahu. Like, really, really big heart love Oahu. So, we'll see. Big Island will be given its chance to get to the top of my love list. But the nice thing about it is that you can hop islands pretty easily, right? So, yeah, I had a wonderful time on Oahu last time, and there's still lots of things to do there that I didn't get to do, so. It's my first vacation all by myself in a very long time. Alrighty, now. Volcanoes are fine, people are dumb. Got it. Alright, so now we're going to use our chisel tip. And the reason is that the chisel tip is very sharp. I mean, this is sharp too, but the chisel tip is just a little bit sharper. And I want to make a fine sand texture. So I'm going to be doing essentially a lot of stippling. Now, if I do find that this is a little bit much, I could switch to this, or what we could do is start with this and move to this for some finer detail. So whatever you would like to do. Now, I will bring up at this point that many sculptors and many painters will have things like stamps, where they will have actually used like a sand textured rock or something and created a stamp like with green stuff, so they could just use that stamp to create texture over models. That's perfectly valid. I tend not to do it. To me, it takes so much time that I'd rather just go and do the sculpting. But making a stamp or buying a stamp, I mean, there were several like basing molds Kickstarters a few years back that put out some really cool texture stamps for green. Yep, Green User says you can make a great texture using a sponge. I do have a sponge in here somewhere, although she's such a small base, right? I'm going to try to do it this way, and if I feel like it's not working really well, then I'll do something else. I wondered if you were here, Bob and Julie. Now, one thing I am going to do, though, guys, I'm going to use the tip of this to push my green stuff even thinner on the base over here and help blend it in. Now, her base texture that exists here is pretty subtle. It's not really here. Let me get close. So, really, really subtle texture on her base. So, I don't need to go overblown with my sand texture. I just need to give it a little something. And yeah, I'll totally be pushing the green stuff even thinner onto the base and pushing it with the tip of the thing to blend it in so that you really can't tell, hopefully, where the one base ends and the other one begins. I love stippling, so, I could do this all day long. Now, one thing to mention is that when you've got a lot of yellow in your green stuff like this, it does hold detail pretty well because it's so soft. So if you want more bounce back, you either wait for it to cure a little bit before you start working with it this way, or you use more blue in your mix, which could give it a little bit more resilience to your sculpting tool. But that makes it less easy to spread thin anyway. So keep these different features in mind. You can also, as Bob and Julie taught me, and Jason Wiebe also taught me, I add like Fimo or Abe's Epoxy Sculpt or Milliput into your green mixture to get different effects. Right now, I'm just going to do a bunch of little dots, and I'm going to vary my tool too. Like sometimes I'm using more the side of my tool, and sometimes I'm using more the point of my tool. I'm going to do one pass, and then I'm going to go back and mess it up a little bit. Because I don't want a bunch of precise dots. That's not going to look like natural at all. But yeah, so you can see if you had a stamp, as long as it was small enough to apply to this area, it would save you a bit of time. But I actually like working with green. I find that working with green on bases especially has taught me a lot more about green. So in a lot of ways, I think that's why I'm reluctant to use quick and easy tools like stamps, because I'm like, well, but if I do that, then I have less of an opportunity to learn to work with green stuff. So I've never done a sand base like this before, so I'm just going to do it. Usually I would just put down sand, like find a really fine sand. But she's so small that sand would have to be really, really fine. So the nice thing here, guys, is I've got kind of a lump in my green stuff that I just found. So now it's still soft enough because I made it with a lot of yellow. It's still soft enough that I can kind of press it down and work it around. Yeah. Now, we do want to put a carpet in here as well, a little rug for her to dance on, I think. And that will help cover up a lot of this texture. I'm going to not do anything to this back here. I think it's just going to be a kind of a circle rug, but I'm still going to do kind of this blending in effect here. Because I might change my mind on how far forward the rug goes. And I want to give her a little coin collection dish as well. So we definitely want to texture all this stuff out here. You can see how the texture is coming along. Oh, did he just post it? Where did he post it? I heard that it was going up. Tile grout, that works. Yeah, there are also several products like pastes, like Games Workshop's mud and dirt pastes, and where is my giant bottle of something or other? Jazion gave me a recommendation for another paste thing, but I've totally misplaced it. It's an art product with it, which is made with like pumice. And it's a paste that you put on the base. But again, you can use those techniques, and I used them for decades, literally. But lately, I find that I want to get more friendly with green stuff. I want to learn more about how to really work green stuff, get a feel for it, work with it with different tools, do different textures. You know, get more, if you can't get a gut understanding of a medium without working with it. And so for me, yeah, there are all sorts of shortcuts I could take to do this, but it wouldn't let me explore working with the green. And lately I want to become a little better at sculpting, so I want to work with it. And this lets me see how much pressure and like how much detail how fine of a detail I can get with the tip of my tool doing this at this stage where the green has not really set up much at all. You know, how long can I work it? How long can I still make major changes? Like, there's a lot of emphasis in our human lives on easy and labor saving, right? And there are definitely times for that where it definitely saves us a lot. But there are also times where you have to question if you're losing experience that could benefit you down the road. Like, there are lots of like quick and easy tips, but I feel like I want to become better with this medium. And so for me, the quick and easy would not give me the benefit. Plus, this is kind of fun. I mean, I know I find repetitive, small, tiny tasks enjoyable. So for me, but look. Yay. I'm very happy with this, actually. I was afraid it was just going to, like, not look very natural. But in reality, if you start layering it and you vary your tool stroke, you make a very nice little rough texture. That's pretty awesome, actually. I like it. I'm having fun. So, yeah. So, always, you know, when somebody shows you a tip or a trick, that's great. But also question, you know, is this going to help me get better at my current goal? Like, am I trying to build brush control? Or am I, you know, trying to, what kind of skill am I trying to acquire here? It's not just paint the mini and put it aside sometimes. If you stop and think about, well, what am I going to learn here? What am I going to try here? And approach it from that direction. All right, so I've got a nice sand texture on the outer side. That's pretty good. And it was pretty fast, all things considered. So now I'm going to see if I can lay down a nice little rug for her to be dancing on. So I want to get it really thin. Now, many people use pasta rollers if they need to get green stuff really thin. Yeah, I'm just poking the tip. And not just from one angle, though, Roger. Like, vary your angle. Like, sometimes I was using kind of the side of the tip, and other times I was using it more point on, and sometimes I was using it at an oblique. And those all create different shapes. Because if you just sit here and go polka dots, that's all you're going to see is polka dots. It's not going to look like a realistic texture. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to do a rug under her. Yug money. Yeah, it didn't take long at all. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if you do the textured rolling pins and stuff, like... But I don't have any of that right here. So the best I have is a bunch of plastic wrap. So let's go ghetto. Let's just go with, like... I do this all the time. Like, I could buy a specialized tool for job A, Y, or, you know, A, B, or C. And I'm like, eh. I just decide to, like, see what I can do. Just with a simple thing, like taking a plastic bag, putting my green there, and rolling with a tool. Because why? I don't want to have to get up and dig for something. I just want my green to get thinner. And I don't want it to stick to the thing that I'm putting it on thinner. And I don't want to have to dig out a pasta roller. I don't even own a pasta roller anymore. And when I did, I never used it because it was a pain in the butt to dig out. So we're using our clay shaper as a rolling pin, and we are using a doubled over plastic bag because, you know, this is the shoestring stream. Little did you know. Just because Anne gets impatient and wants to get something done, and she doesn't want to have to mess with it. So I want a pretty thin layer of green stuff for this rug. All right, I think we're good. Ta-da! Look, it's all nice and flat. Oh, cool, Inara. Yeah. ReaperCon hotel room booked just because you have greater confidence in ReaperCon than DragonCon? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I need to... Oh, no, it's stuck. No, it didn't. Ha! It's still pretty fresh green, so getting it off of here could be fun. See, if I don't put on a lubricant... Plastic is great because you don't really have to. But if I'm going to continue, like, to try to... See, this is what you get if you just don't put down... You can really pull up your green. So, that's the thing to keep in mind. And again, I'm learning, right? I'm learning. Learning. Yay, learning. But you can get it pretty smooth like this. Some people I've talked to use like plastic card. There we go. All right, so it's pretty flat. That's nice. Let's see here. And it's about the right size. So I think I'm going to grab a cutting type of tool. One with a sharper edge. Is that my really sharp chisel? Where did I put my... Okay, there it is. So you could use a leaf-shaped cutter like that if you wanted to. I've got a very sharp kind of chisel, and I like that. I wouldn't use green on my... I'm just going to eyeball this, I think. Eyeballs. We're just going to eyeball it. I just want to round the edge off a bit. And I want to eyeball how much I'm going to have to cut off. And I'm just going to just approximate. I'm not going to worry about it too much here. I just need kind of the right shape and size for my rug. And if I was really, really not on the stream here, I'd probably put this under a heat lamp to give it a little bit of cure time before I did this. But I'm going to live dangerously, dang it, because I'm an impatient Ann. We'll see if I totally screw it up. So then I'll take my sharp cutting edge and I'll start trying to pull putty away from here. I may need to use a knife. Oh no, I just need to press more. And I'm going to stick to it. It's very sticky. This is the problem. So, okay, if you're going to do this, you probably should let it set up more than I am. But again, I'm on a stream, so I'm living dangerously. And also getting it off of this plastic may mean I have to have it cure a bit more. Because prying it up could be fraught with peril. But this is how I would start to think about doing it. So probably what I would do here if I was doing it on my own is I would get roughly the shape. I would pull the other green away from around the edge of it. I may need to actually use a knife. Didn't want to, but I guess I can clean the knife off afterwards. Just to get a true separation. And then I could lay down this little rug and shape it. Now, if I let the rug set, obviously I have to use it and I kind of carve it. It's going to be unable to be shaped to the ground, things like that. But yeah, this could possibly not work, guys. We'll see. I probably should have put some something down on the plastic to get it up. Or I'm going to have to let it sit. Or this may not work at all. We'll find out. There. It kind of wants to come up. Got a little bit off. There we go. Not too bad. I can scrape the rest of it off. So yeah, I mean, I did tie. I did an X-Acto, but... Right, Shawnald. But remember, I am not an expert green worker. I am doing these things. People can see how it screws up. I don't mind making mistakes on camera if people learn from it. And I've gouged a hole in my plastic. So probably plastic card would be better than plastic wrap, which I have used before. So yeah, this is how you learn, people. You make mistakes and you own them. I mean, come on. So the other way we could do this, except it would risk more, would be to just sculpt the rug on, to not have worried about starting with a flat surface, but to actually just put my ball of green down and start trying to get a rug. And I would risk essentially compressing or making, essentially deforming the green in the front because it's not cured. So this is the, right. That's a good one, Studio DK. So let's follow. There we go. So we got a piece of advice. Let's follow it. We're going to put this in the freezer for a couple of minutes. We'll set a 5-minute timer, and then we'll come back to it. So there you go. Take advice. Yeah, I have a bunch of blister packs around, Roger. I'm going to put this guy in the freezer. I'll be right back. Fit all those pickles in our refrigerator. There we go. So this is the thing, though, guys, with is what I really should do now is I should really put this aside and we should work on something else for a while, because green takes time. You have to wait for it to cure if you don't want to mess up stuff you've already done. So just, this is all like a learning experience, right? You will not get from me like how to pro sculpt a figure. If you want that stream, you gotta beg Derek there in the chat. Like, he will totally tell you. He could show you how he pro sculpts a figure. I just work with green. I'm trying to get better at it. So all my mistakes that I make are just learning opportunities. It's like not a huge fail. Like, that's something that people can learn to deal with. And when you paint, it's the same thing. Like, I make something look easy. You may mess it up. Don't be hard on yourselves. It's just an opportunity to, like, you know, your brain is going to remember that. And next time you can try something a little different. So it's not a big deal to concern yourself. I am really happy with my sand texture, though. So that's good. We're not trying to stretch, but yeah, stretching is going to be in 4 minutes or so. So. Yep. Yeah, all of that. Plastic card, the storage dividers from those boxes are very nice. They do have a kind of a repellent surface. All of that stuff. Plastic milk jugs, anything like that, guys. Yes, you do. Yeah, so there we go. So if Bob and Julie also use this tip, what we'll do is we'll essentially take a stretch break, and then we will go get our rug and see if we can work with it over the top of this. I am still a little worried about deforming stuff. And I'm going to have to make room to sculpt it, to put it around her feet as well. So that's going to be fun. But, you know, I just wanted to get the rug edge like nice and flat on the front here. I can blend it in and disguise it from there with regular green work. But yeah, so this was all me trying stuff. See, and when you've got professional sculptors in your stream chat, then you like, most people would be afraid of that. And me, I'm just like, I'm going to muck it up and somebody's going to rescue me. But that's fine, because we all learn. And now that Derek has brought that up, now I'll remember that. And next time I'm trying to do something like this, I'll be like, this is where I should freeze the green stuff. And I'll use a plastic card instead of plastic wrap. But plastic wrap is what I had right in front of me. So I was like, I'm going to try it. Oh, Bob and Julie are used to teaching me chibi. They're my mentors with green stuff, really. Like, they've taken time with me and tried to show me how not to muck it up. Which I appreciate. I've become much better with green. I still really like Fimo. Like, I love working with Fimo. It's because it's more like traditional clay, and that's what I used to work with in art school. But I do like, I have much better green synthesis now. DKS should run. Derek likes to help people. Come on, you guys. That's why he's such a good teacher. Derek likes to help people and the planet. That's why he's an exemplary human being. All right, cool. Well, let's do the stretch. It's about 10:20. It's about fine. Yay! And if I have any green stuff on my fingers at this point, hey, Kitty Voltron for all of you. This is the symbol of the day. Get out there and kick butt like lolcat Voltron. That's all I ask. Chibi Kitty Voltron. Let's see. Oh, you like my shirt, Chibi? I got it from Tea Turtle, but you know, sometimes the designs stick around and sometimes they don't, but you could go look in their licensed like stuff and see. Kitty Voltron is awesome. Yeah, for sure, Valendar. Staring at models absolutely counts. Like, that's still how I learn painting tricks, by staring at other people's models and deconstructing how they did it. Once you have a basic knowledge of techniques or you know, wide knowledge of painting techniques, it's pretty easy to figure out how they do it. Then the only question is, can you match it with your current level of skill? But it gives you something to aim for. Oof, my shoulders are tight. It gives you something to aim for, you know, if you can't right away. Also, my arms are sore from yoga yesterday, David. Like my arm, like these muscles from all the, oh my God. Yes. Yeah, there is fun stuff. Yeah, all that little conversion stuff is super fun, and it teaches you how to work with the medium, right? Because green is always going to be useful for doing miniatures conversions. It's just got, even with its difficulties, like the stickiness factor and the goopiness factor, it still gives a lot of advantages when you're doing little stuff. Yay! Stretch, 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 everybody! Stretch time! If you've been sitting in your chair not doing anything, get up and stretch just a little bit. So guys, y'all know I started doing like yoga and core strength exercises in the morning 2.5 weeks ago. 2.5 weeks ago, before I started those exercises, I had trouble even sitting in this chair for a full stream. Like, it was hard. And I also could never have gotten through a whole YouTube yoga class. Last night, I got through a yoga class, and I did 2 sessions in the chair yesterday, plus I painted at night. So it works. Get out there and do some like core exercises. If your back aches and you don't have any like big damage, like it's such a payoff. Like my back hurts so much less now. Like 2.5 weeks, that's all it took. All I do is 20 minutes in the morning. Much faster than weight loss. All right, go do some cat cows. Y'all can join me, or you can take a quick break to get some caffeine. And then I'm going to fetch the green stuff out of the freezer. All right, let's get our green stuff. And then I'm going to hydrate. We're back with frozen green stuff, or very chilly green stuff. Let's see if that few minutes counted. That was about 5 minutes. And, oh, look, it pops right off, guys. It's magical. Look. Yay. Okay, well, now we have to figure out what we're going to do with it, and I should have carved it first. Boop. We'll see how long I can do it, or if I have to toss it back in there. Oh, no, it's already tacky. This is the learning curve. This is when Anne, like, totally screws up stuff. I should have carved it into a crescent first. I realized that when I wanted it to go around her feet. Boop. But I probably can still get away with it. But I don't want to tear it too much. Come on, you can do this, green stuff. You can do this. But you guys saw how nicely it came off of there, right? So peg that trick up to Bob, Julie, and Derek. And I can always put it back in the freezer if I start to cut it and then I deform it too much. I gotta get not impatient. Hashtag not impatient. I'm totally impatient. This is my biggest detriment in learning new things, is like just the fact that I'm impatient and I want to do it now. And so I will just throw myself at it and muck it up and learn. This is the learning curve for Anne. But it uncurls nicely. It's still mostly flat. And it's still mostly the right consistency. So here we go. Get that little bit off of there. Come here. Go on down here. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. This is fun. You can do it, little green stuff. Now it's warming up fast because I'm touching it. It's like, oh noes. Ah. This is difficult. Hee hee. Trying to put it down like a skirt. Stay. I'm going to put some water down. I'm going to learn. And I'm going to actually get water in my brush. And get it out away from where I want it to go. Maybe bring in this a little bit more. Got a little bit too close. Water out here. Stay. We're having fun. Yeah, instant gratification can cut with wet scissors. Good idea. I actually have non-stick scissors. I have Teflon scissors, and I didn't even think about it. I probably would have needed to, oh, that side's pitted. I don't want to use that side. There, that side's better. I'm also going to leave a lot of fingerprints. Woohoo! Come here, tool. So this is fun. There we go. Let's do that. And let's get our other putty tool. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Oh no! Stuck without my putty tool. There it is. Oh no! Now it's stuck to the tool. This is the comedy class. This is what this is. I'm gonna have to put it back in the freezer, guys. Gonna have to put it back in because I want it to. It's just too unstiff right now, and I need it to stiffen up a little bit. It's like close though. If I could just get it in position, I'm pretty sure I could get it to stick. Come on, little thing. You can do it. Kind of playing with it here. Trying to flatten it out off camera here. Doop. There, that might work. All I needed to do is this though. I just need to smooth it out and get it away. There we go. That's a little better. Come around over here, little green stuff. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. So I do want the rug to take up a good portion of the base so that I can paint lots of freehand on it. Yeah, that's right. And I need my tool again. Doop. Do-do-do. But yes, there are all sorts of ways to do this. As if you guys listen to the chat or read the chat, there are all sorts of ways to do this that probably would have given me a little less frustration. But now I know. Again, this is a learning tip. Like, this is a learning thing where I don't mind trying it this way, learning how it sucks, and then doing it differently next time. Next time, I'll be able to take my time and do a little bit better. And integrate some of the suggestions that Bob and Julie and the rest of you in chat, who are, you know, more experienced at working with green stuff or just less impatient than I am, wanted to integrate. Here we go. I need my roller. You always want to use the right tool for the job. And in this case, this back here, I want to use big tool, I think. But yeah, often with green stuff, I find I just throw myself at the problem and then I learn from the fail. Nothing wrong with learning that way if you're not afraid to fail. You learn a lot, and sometimes you learn something about the process that informs you on a different thing. Like, you learn, hey, that didn't work, and it kind of made this texture, and oh, hey, that's useful for X, you know? So even your fails, and maybe even especially your fails, and I wouldn't even call them your fails, I'd call them your learning experiences. That's just me. I used to be, and in some ways I still am, the type of person to carefully look up tutorials and, you know, to research things before I do them. But in painting, I've gotten so reckless. I'm just like, anything to do with hobbying, I'm just like, I'm just going to throw myself at the problem. Bonk. It's not like riding a bike. More cat folk, Inara. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And then letting it soften sticky when you... Yeah, and I let it go too long there, Studio Decast. I needed to... First of all, I needed to carve it into a crescent before I put it in the freezer. Remembering that I had to get it around her feet. And then I needed to be faster at removing it and getting it in place. But yeah, this is all learning stuff. Now, if I could just adapt this recklessness to other areas of my life that aren't life-threatening, that would be great. Because I still worry too much, right? I'm still... In many ways, I am less risk-taking in other parts of my life. And sometimes I feel like I need to loosen up that a bit. David always tells me to stop worrying so much. All right, so now we have a nice smooth thing, except we need to just smooth it out a little bit better. And we're probably going to find it easier to do that with a clay shaper than with a metal tool. I do need to still fix this area in the back. I'm just going to press it down as much as I can. Scooch the putty in. The putty's tearing a little bit because there's a lot of water back here, so I'm going to let it sit for a bit. I might even take a little bit of a Kleenex and suck up some of that water. It won't pull the green up. When the putty is so wet, it's not going to pull the green up. And I can just kind of press on it gently, and that'll take some of that water up on the back there. You can see where it's splitting. So we'll take that and we'll work on the front. Where is my clay shaper? There it is. Oh. Yeah, it's a soon, John David. It's a soon. It's a Reaper soon, hopefully not. Hopefully it'll be like a real soon. Now I'm going to use my rolly trick. I could also use like a flat, if I have a small piece of plastic card, I could also use that and just press it down onto the surface to make it really smooth. But again, I like to play with this clay shaper and this technique and get an idea, like get used to using it, kind of learn how the putty's reacting now that it's had like several minutes to kind of set up, right? Given we put it in freeze mode for 5 minutes, but so it was not curing when it was in the freezer. Thanks for the freezer tip, Derek and Bob and Julie. Now I can do all sorts of dangerous cloth maneuvers that go horribly wrong. That's what we don't see, right? We don't see all the screw-ups when sculptors like produce their awesome stuff. We don't see the times they have to cut it off and try it again when they're learning. But I'm sure there are those moments. I mean, there's still times I just paint over something I'm painting because I'm just like, no. There, that's coming up nice. Now, I will probably not sculpt texture on this. I will paint texture on it, the cloth of the rug. Yeah, I'm liking this. All right, so I'm very gently going to take my chisel tool here and make sure I still have a slight edge. See, look how nice and thin and smooth that is, guys. Yay, we have a rug. We have a rug. Oh, I cut a crescent. Yeah, correct, Rignus. You are correct. That is exactly how I did it. I cut it into a crescent, and then I had moments of comedy for chat to laugh at me while I tried to work it at the wrong speed and at the wrong pace for everything. And then I finally got it, and now I'm happy, actually, with it. I'm pretty happy with it. Now I need to clean up this edge a little bit. Bob and Julie have happy accidents. Cut the full unfolded shape on plastic card and then froze it and stuck it to the mini and teased it into the dynamic shape. So what you're telling me, Derek Schubert, is that you actually cut out tiny clothes for your miniatures from green stuff and then you put them on the minis. So this is like paper dolls, only with putty. Derek is actually a gnomish clothes crafter, like in a past life. He cut out tiny clothes for, his fellow mythical creatures, and then he has this aptitude in this life. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Who knew paper dolls were a career skill? Only the free hanging stuff, okay. I'm imagining you cutting out little shirt patterns, little pants patterns. But that would be so much fun. Like, why don't you do it that way? I know. I'm being silly. It's Friday. I have the right to be silly on Fridays, okay? Let's just establish that right now. Okay, I have the right to be silly pretty much all the time. As I get older, I just get sillier. Like, you'd think it would go the opposite direction. But not really. Not really. Okay, so I have a little bit of rocky crap back here where I need to address that. But I do have some extra green stuff. So we have the tools, folks. We have the tools to address that problem. And our green stuff is really setting up, but it's still pretty soft. So if I had made this with more blue, likely I would be getting a stronger reaction, and it might not be nearly this workable at this point. Keep that in mind. Tom Meyer sculpts this. So yeah, he was definitely... Tom Meyer uses a freaking microscope, and I'm not joking either. He sculpts stuff under a microscope. Yeah, I need to get... I hope the rooms aren't all sold out by the time I get online. David, well, he's probably working, so David could get online and reserve us a room, but... Where's the room block posted, guys? Where should I look for the link? Like, is there a link that you have to click on, or do you just call up Embassy Suites and say, I want this room block? Main site? All right, cool. Thanks, Quindy. Thanks, Quindy. Right on the front page. Good deal. Yeah, because I want to meet all you guys. Like, we're going to try to go. I have a backup plan if I can't get into the room block, but... Alright, I think I want to flatten out this green a little bit in advance. So I'm kind of putting it over on my plastic again, and I'm using a lot of water this time to flatten it out into a flat shape. I'm going to peel it up, because I was smart this time, and put water under it. There. There we go. Now I can take my little flat thing, boop, and kind of poke it into place. Little flat section. And use my chisel tool, I think, to stuff it in under the dress. Boop. Ah, stay. It's got a lot of water on it to get it to keep the flat shape, so I have to be gentle. Get in there. Get in there. There. Boom, boom, boom. She doesn't really have any feet because her dress goes so low. And now I'm just pulling the green to cover all the rough area. And I may have to cut some off at the end. I'm going to use my rolly tool now to smooth that in. Might actually use my flat tool first. Flat tool. Boop, boop, boop. Sometimes it's just, if you really need to spread something out thin and you have an underpinning that's strong like her integral base, sometimes the big flat metal tool is just the choice to get it started. And then when you go to blending it in, that's where your rolly tool can be your friend. If you're blending it into other green stuff. If you're blending it into plastic or resin or whatever, then I actually still find that the rolly tool is the best. Or sorry, a metal tool is the best because I want to put pressure on stuff. It's like, do I have a soft underpinning that I want to blend the green stuff into, or do I have a hard underpinning that I want to blend the green stuff into? So if I have a hard one, then I use a harder tool to thin it, to spread it thinner. But if I am on a soft putty like this, where I don't want a lot of deformation, then I'm going to use my clay shaper. And I'm going to essentially just get this all blended in, which my clay shaper does admirably. And remember, we don't need to be perfect here because the carpet is spread over lumpy ground. So you're fine if it's a little lumpy. It's forgiving that way. Now I do have some overspread. I am going to take a chisel or a knife. And I'm going to get it wet. And I'm going to come in here and separate some of that. And pull it up with my knife edge. If you've got plenty of water, you should be okay on this. Boop. There you go. That's rounded it down. Now I need to blend it in just a little bit because it's got a sharp edge there. ReaperCon and click on Embassy Suites. Will do. Will do. I will do that right after the stream. In fact, I will make a sticky note to sit right in front of my nose so that I do not remember, or do not forget because I don't know. Normally, if I was going to teach enough classes, I would go through Reaper, but Reaper website, Embassy Suites. But I may want to go and only teach a couple classes so that I have time, like, for the painting competition and award ceremony and stuff and all that, and judging. And so in that case, I will want to book my own room. So there we go. And if I do decide to teach my brain off at ReaperCon, I can always just cancel the res and one of you guys gets it. All right, just smoothing it out with my nice little, you can see I love this taper point clay shaper for this. Like what I would be without this. This thing is so darn nice for this. You just have to get into the habit of rolling it. Figure out the amount of pressure you need to really produce good results that you like. Once the green starts getting more set up, you can just kind of polish with it. Just kind of with light pressure to try to minimize some of your lumpies if you want less lumpies. Like I said, I don't mind gentle mounds because the rug is pretty thin and draped over the sand, which does have lumpies in it. So she just doesn't want to get sand in her shoes when she's dancing. And a lot of water to do the polish. I have a thin skin of water pretty much over the whole rug at this point. And we are getting it down. All right. So now we need little tassels. I want little tassels on my rug. I don't want to do too many of them because, that would take a while. Do I still have enough green for tassels? I think I do. Yeah, green stuff, Ash. Was using green. First we set up the sand texture on the outside of the base, and then I had many comedy moments doing a rug incorrectly before Bob and Julie and Derek saved me. Kariniko, I really wish you could go. Do we need to make a Kariniko comes to meet us all at ReaperCon fund? Like, because totally we could do that. That could be a thing. All right, I want little tiny beads of green stuff to be kind of the little tassel nubbins where they're tied, where the tassel is tied coming out of the rug. So I'm going to roll out a snake of green stuff for that, I think. Rolly, rolly, rolly. Roll, roll, roll. Because I want to be able to just chop off little bits that are more or less uniform in shape. My green stuff is getting harder at this point. That's actually good. Although it will be less sticky, it will be a little bit easier to make defined shapes with. It will be less likely to mush. And I do want to maybe shape up and correct the front of that rug's shape a little bit. So let me see here. Yeah, when the green stuff resists going thinner, you know that your green stuff is starting to set up. We're getting there. We're almost there. We just need to get it to go a little bit thinner for our little knots. I've got it pretty thin at this point. There it is. All right, there. I do want to grab my my clay shaper. I want to trim up the edge of this rug just a little bit better. It's just got a little bit of wobblies here and there. This is where, you never draw a perfect circle. You just draw a rough circle and then you correct it until it looks perfect. So wherever I see a weird bulge or something, now it's a hand-woven rug probably, right? So a couple of bulges aren't deal breakers, but I still want it to be a nice smooth arc. I don't want it to be like Grandma Hattie's hand-woven rug that she did when she was 3 shades gone on, Absinthe. I want it to be a nicely rounded woven rug. Good. That's good. Now I'm happier. Yeah, if you, yeah, Scotland, land of rain. So you totally have to make it to Texas, and then the world will try to kill you. The state will try to kill you because of the heat. But it's definitely, well, we did get that one year where it rained nonstop on either side of ReaperCon, which was just so weird and freaky. All right, I'm going to try to cut off some little bits to make my little knots from. Boop. And I should be able to make them roughly the right size, the same size. Boop. Little tiny eggs. Now I have to ask myself, how many tassels do I want? Probably just 1, 2, 3. I need to think about my collection jar too. It's my collection plate. It has to be over here. So maybe I'll just do some tassels here and do the collection plate here. And I'm also going to have to mix up some new green for my collection plate. All right, these little tassel bits are not too bad. They might be too, this one might be too big. Gesundheit. All right, little tiny bits. Yeah, fringe would be easier, Twisted Oma. Fringe, I would probably just like work with exactly what I've got here. And I would just do, I would use a knife and I would just cut it into like little wedges, and then I would just make the thing. But here, I actually want little knots and a little tassel coming out from each. So, because I just decided that I wanted to make it difficult for myself. Boop. Come on. You can do it. Uh-oh, these guys are stuck together. They're too happy. Boop. All right. Now I need to like squish them into something. It's beautiful in Florida right now. Everybody is saying bless you, David. Alrighty, let's get my clay shaper again. These are just little round. There's water there. I see. That's what I might need to correct that with a little bit of. I keep like Kleenexes around, and I just use the edge to soak up any little bits of water that are, and that's just all I needed really, was to take that little bead of water out. Okay, so little fringes, little fringe knots, get in there. And my underpinnings of sand should be solid enough at this point. Now what I'm going to do is kind of scrunch the bottoms of this around and kind of put it, trying to try to anchor it in the green underneath it. And I'm going to use the outside because I want my little tassel to still come off. I might even put the little tassel coming over the black base if I wanted to get it like jumping out of the frame, so to speak. Boop, boop. I like this chisel tool because it is so very fine. So the tip, you can do some really fine work with it. You'd never expect it, but, and it's nice because the silicone is naturally nonstick. So it does stick a little bit, so you have to be careful. But this green is starting to set up. Once green starts to set up, the stickiness factor goes away. Oh, have a good weekend, green users. Bye! I'll see you next week. Thank you for your help. Now it's all Derek. If I make some horrible, horrible mistake, it's all Derek. He'll have to save us. So I am also able to kind of correct the size on some of these. Like this one is a little bit bigger, but I can kind of squish it. It's like squish parts of it down into the surrounding sand. As long as I don't disrupt the sand too much. And I can push the sand around a little bit still. So that's nice. This is fun because this is just little details. And then this one. Boop, boop, boop. It's like doing little micro details with paint. It's really relaxing and enjoyable. So making my little tassel knots. You're okay, Kerniko. Yeah, but you should totally, like, if you ever make a vacation fund, Kerniko, you should totally make it for ReaperCon. Because it is, if you like painting, it is really the con, I think. If you just want to hang out with the community and paint for 4 days and learn stuff and talk to meet all of us in person and game and have a good time. ReaperCon is a great con. There we go. I kind of like these little tassel things. All right, now we have the little tassels coming out. So that's my next step. That will also come from the same snake I was using to do those little bobs. But this time I want wider tassel-y shapes. Let's get some water on this. I'm going to trim off the end here. Don't want that. Want my tassels to have kind of flat ends. My green stuff wants to rebel. It's like, I am getting more and more set in my ways. I'm gonna just put that little grit over there. All right, let's see here. Oop. Yeah, there are. Yeah, I mean, it depends, like, if they're into board games, that can help Rignus, because, you know, a lot of people get together in the evening to play board games. Alright, I think I want my tassels to be about that much. Put them all together so that I can judge the size. Now the green is getting much more firm, it's less sticky, and it comes off of the plastic very easily. I want to keep them kind of oblong shaped for when I put them right on there. They have to be just sticky and squishy enough. Let's see, I want the end that's wider toward the outside, the end that's narrower toward the inside. That's a nice fat little tassel. Stay. So this is delicate work, but, you know, a lot of miniatures painting is delicate work. So I'm rolling them up a little bit on my hand, just to get them a little bit rounded. Then I can plop them. And I don't mind when I get them on the knife, I don't mind if I'm indenting them a little bit. Because as long as it's the area that's going to flare out into the tassel, we're okay. Boop. Yeah, I mean, there's always people playing board games, Rignus. So, and I mean, if she enjoys like miniatures, like wall-painted miniatures, there's also a lot of really beautiful stuff to look at, like in the competition, and it's fun to walk around. And I mean, everybody is so nice and welcoming. A lot of people do bring their families and their kids. It's just a really friendly con. And you know what? You could just come for 2 days if you wanted to. Like, if you really feel like maybe she'll be bored, and if you don't want to, like, just shove her off to Dallas or something for exploring, you could just come for, like, Saturday, Sunday. Or for Friday, Saturday is probably your top days to go if you want to be able to do everything. Like, if you want to enter the painting competition, and then be there for the awards ceremony, which is Saturday night, and still have some chances to take classes, but not be there for a ton of time, you know, you could do that. Yep, RPGs. Oh, you're going to start D&D soon. Good. Let's see here. Spouse doesn't want to go, so you're going to solo. Haha, Neo Show, that sounds good. That's a long time. Congrats on being married for that long. That's a fantastic anniversary when you get past that 50. All right, so now we're going to very gently work with these. I want to kind of connect them or squish them in to these little tassel bits. So I'm going to kind of press that way because I want to marry these up. But I also want to create some separation. So I'm going to use my chisel tool with the sharp edge, remember? To create. And I could use a hobby knife for this also. It would be very good. If you want to get really fine with it, do a hobby knife. And I probably will to separate them once I get the start of this down. Boop. You know, if I really like this rug, I'm not sending this mini to Ron after all. Hello, Mr. Andy. How's it going? Yeah, there's also the paint and take table. Yeah, all sorts of fun. And the set factory tour. You owe your wife a Gen Con this year. So ReaperCon 2022. Yeah, fingers crossed Gen Con goes off. As David pointed out to me yesterday when I was getting all excited, he's like, it's a big step from small gatherings to thousands of people at a con. So that is true. So maybe our expectations are higher than they should be, and we should not be totally all into it. But I don't know. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to probably partially for my own sanity. I want to start going to art museums and things again. And nice restaurants. So I'm just kind of, again, taking the tip here and I'm squishing it into my little knot up here so that it can start to look like I want it. Now I can take my X-Acto knife and start kind of stretching and making these indentations deeper between the strands. You can also add some finer strands down the middle. This might still be a little bit soft for the really fine strands. Once the putty really starts to set up, there's a lot of water there deforming it, but let me grab my tissue and kind of wick that water off. Boom. Once the putty's really starting to set up and solidify, you can do really, really fine strands in it. Pendrake I almost never do, but this is near the edge of the base and is likely to get handled, so I probably will prime this particular green stuff, at least the tassels. So the danger in using the X-Acto too early is that you can create little kind of shards that get separated by the water. So I think I'm going to go back to my chisel so that I can work a little bit more clumpy. I have to start pushing the strands, kind of making them a little bit erratic, different from each other. I need to fix that one. And we need to make them so they're not all the same. And we want them to taper toward the end. So we want to maybe make this one more of a 2 strands. Or maybe a 3 or 4. And I want it to move, and I'm going to push it a little bit over, breaking the audience barrier here. I want it to curl too. They would, kind of sway and curl. That's a much better one, I think. This one needs help. This one looks like a paw. So I'm going to actually curve it, pressing it a little bit out of the similar shape. So I can curve it more in a C shape. It's still a little bit too mushy. So I'm going to go back to this guy because this guy's shaping up pretty well. Haha, see what I did there? This is a nice tassel. It's being obedient. There. And then this little bit can come over here. Be a little shorter. So that tassel's nice. I like that tassel. This tassel needs help. Let's see here. What do I want to use? So many tools. So many options. I think this one. Yeah, there are museums in Dallas and Fort Worth. Yeah, it's a bit of a drive, Francis. So I'm going to try to reshape this a little bit, guys. Which means I'm burying it in water, so it's going to be hard for you to see. I'll break the barrier as well with this one to make it go just a little bit out onto the edge. And this one, I think I want to break it a little bit this way. So let's try to actually use a tool and pull and wave. See what I did there? I did a little bit of a wave at the end because the putty is mushy. So I can pull it into more of a teardrop, inverted teardrop. That's better. There we go. Those are nice, actually. That's coming along. This one needs a little help. As usual, my center tassel is the problem child. I need to work that a little bit. Let's see here. And this is where, you know, these fine tools with fine tips really help you. You can pull stuff out and reshape it. That's looking a little nicer. A little bit of irregular shape. This guy needs a little more help now to make him an interesting shape. Got a little bit of my putty pulling up there, so I'm going to grab some water so that I can convince it to be nice again. There we go. There, we have little tassels. How adorable are those? All right, so I want to emphasize this little knot here at the top of each of them. Trim it down a little bit for this center one. It got a little bit fat. So now we still have enough flexibility to be reshaping. Now my room right here, I want to say it's about 70 degrees, maybe as much as 72 in here. So the green is actually curing on a fairly fast rate. Your green will cure at different rates depending on the temperature, the ambient temperature in the room you're in. Yeah, I think doing museums in Dallas at ReaperCon would be like it would be people coming in the Thursday before or something. It would just take away from the con. The problem is that, you know, you go to these 4-day cons and you see all the people that you adore for 10 minutes each, you know, and you feel like at the end you never have enough time to hang out with everybody that you wanted to hang out with. So I don't like stuff that what I have found is that people are reluctant to go too far away from the con. They're fine dodging out to go to downtown, you know, to go to a different area of Denton to go to a nice restaurant or whatever, but they really want to stay. They came to go to the con, so we go to the con. All right, so I got my nice little knots, and I could give myself a little bit of texture in those knots. Maybe, let's see, a little bit of crossways texture suggested here, as if they are knots. But you don't have to. You could always just paint on texture on those little knots. You do not have to try to suggest it in the sculpt. Those are good tassels. And then here will be our collection bowl. So let's see here. Oh, it's actually end of stream, so we'll have to add our collection bowl. Either I'll have to do it off camera. I may get it started off camera, guys, and just glue it on, because then I'll be able to put little coins in it next time. So she's making some cash. Mathophile, what I find, honestly, these are little enough. What I find is it's easier to do that with paint. For me. If you can, like, there are little grooves in the tassels. Like, as you know, as far as these, but these are still pretty small. Like, even when I go to paint these, I'm gonna have a hard time, like, putting more suggested threads in, unless I flatten them out a little bit. If I choose to flatten them out, then I could paint on some extra threads. But at this scale, you would really see clumps anyway, so I'm not too concerned here. There is a limit, like, for me, there is a point where I consider the detail that to sculpt on just too fine. And it's just, at that point, I'd rather do it with paint. I mean, there are like 3 little grooves in each tassel here. But, and like I said, if I want to suggest there's a knot or something up here, it's going to be easier for me to paint that, suggest it with paint. But yeah, each of these is so thin, I'm going to have a hard time already trying to suggest more than just the little strands I've got. So, but yes, so we have those, and then her collection dish will be here, so I'm kind of going to bury the implied tassels under it. It'll be fun. This is going to be fun. I think I'm going to leave the rug all flat, though. Like, I'm going to paint the design on it, so. And it could be flatter, it could be cooler, but I like it. Actually, I'm kind of attached to these tassels. Hold on. Let me back out. We started a little late today, so maybe I'll There we go. And I kind of like that I chose to take them over the edge of the base too. It brings her out into the world a little. So, I don't know, Pendrake. Trying to find something that's perfectly in scale is rough. It's easy to just take your green stuff and like make kind of a round and then smush it. Just make a shallow collection bowl. So maybe I'll use my leftover green stuff here to create the foot of it. By just smushing it up against a rounded thing. Should have used water. It's pretty set up right now, but I should use water still. So like just want to get kind of a foot for it. And then I could make another one that's even bigger and just kind of nest them in each other. Yeah, that's not bad. So that's a good foot for it. Not bad at all. And I want it to be kind of oval, so that's why I'm making my foot a little bit oval. And I can just leave this to cure and just pop it off. Just kind of shape it a little bit. Just want don't want too much shaping. Don't want too much effort. It's going to be on the bottom of the bowl. But there, now I've got a foot. Yay! If Derek says it looks great, we're good. So there's my little bowl foot. So I'll put that like down right here, and then I'll make a wider, bigger bowl, probably about 3 times this size or 2.5 times this size, to kind of sit on top of it. And then we'll make little coins. Little coins are made exactly the same way. You just get tiny little specks and smush them, and then you can put them in there and glue them down. So yeah. There you go, guys. So you got to watch me mess up some stuff and learn from it and move on and actually finish. Pretty much, this is pretty close to my concept. Like, I made the rug a little bit bigger in the end because I really feel like the sand is boring. So I want to have some features that people can look at. The challenge now is going to be doing freehand on the rug that doesn't distract from her. Like, because if I go too crazy with freehand down here, everybody's just going to stare at the rug. So I'm going to probably do something big and basic and geometric, not too fancy. But just enough to make it fun and interesting, and have her dancing on her rug. I might even go with darker colors for the rug because the sand is going to be similar in color to like her hair or her skin or something in between. You know, it's going to be the kind of that yellowy brown. So that's good because it lets me repeat colors across the model. But it means that for contrast, I may go a little bit darker with the rug. Going darker will let me do patterns without distracting from the model because she has so many light and bright and tight areas up here that if I go darker down here, I can do more intricate freehand without it being as much of a danger of everybody just staring at the base. So, but yeah, I do like to say that with Denton, it's like Texas loves its shopping and its restaurants. So like for me, it's like those are the things. They do have some excellent museums. I will give it that. Texas does have some excellent museums. Just trying to smooth that in back there again. There. I've got that little problem area where the green's really thin. But that's all right. Good enough. Good enough. Yay! All right. So yeah, even with our false starts, we have a tasseled rug. Sweet. Sweet. And now I can do tassels. Now I've like learned things. This is good. This is great. When I do an instructive stream and I learn things, thanks Derek for the tip. So yeah, and I don't want to mess up my little foot of my bowl. I'm gonna let this set completely and then pop it off of the plastic. It'll be easy and it won't deform. And then I'll pop it. I'll probably put it just in my palette so I don't lose it. And then we will make a bigger bowl. Yeah, we'll see if I do. Well, I'm gonna get one or the other way, Cornico, because I'm a Hilton Honors member, so I can always just cash. They always have a few rooms back for Hilton Honors people, so I can usually utilize that. If I can't, I won't get the same price, but yeah. So, all right. Who do we have? A raid Reaper? Yeah, we do. Miniatures Den. Going over to Luca. All right. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're back to the Ginny on Monday. So I hope you enjoy your weekend. Take it easy. Stretch a lot. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.